I never expected a 6-year-old to shatter my sense of security. The room was quiet, sunlight streaming through the windows, the kind of quiet that makes you think nothing could possibly go wrong. And then my grandson Noah climbed onto the couch beside me, eyes wide and serious, clutching his toy car like it was a shield. "Grandmother, I heard my mom planning to take your house and—" He stopped mid-sentence. In that unfinished thought, I felt a chill creep into my chest, a warning I couldn't ignore. At 65, I thought I knew what betrayal looked like. I was wrong. Because sometimes the people you trust the most, and the voices you expect to be innocent, carry the heaviest truths. Welcome to my YouTube channel Whisper Stories, where silence speaks. My name is Emily, and I am 65 years old. At 65, you think life has shown you its sharpest edges. You believe you've survived every storm, weathered every betrayal, and learned how to protect yourself. You expect your days to be quieter now, filled with gentle routines and the soft hum of memories. You expect life to be safe. I was wrong. Because sometimes the most shattering truths don't come from strangers, lawyers, or news headlines. They come from a child standing barefoot in your living room, clutching a toy car in one hand, eyes wide with innocence, and whispering something that pierces straight to your soul. That afternoon, my 6-year-old grandson Noah climbed onto the couch beside me. He leaned in as though he were carrying a secret too heavy for his small chest, and then he said, "Grandmother, I heard my mom planning to take your house and—" He stopped mid-sentence, and in that pause the room seemed to shrink, the air itself heavy with the weight of what I suddenly realized. The house that held my life. That house wasn't just a structure of bricks and wood, it was a repository of my entire life. It was where I brought my husband home after our wedding, filled with nervous pride and trembling excitement. It was where I held my children in my arms for the first time, terrified of dropping them. It was where I spent months after my husband passed, staring out of the window into empty streets, pretending I was fine when the silence screamed otherwise. Every crack in the wall remembered my laughter, every corner echoed my tears, every room held a memory I could never give away. After my husband's passing, I had stayed there alone. People advised me to downsize, move on, start a new chapter. But how does one move on from the place that holds the map of your heart? I didn't live in that house lived in me. When family moved in. 3 years ago, my son Daniel and his wife Laura faced difficult times. Job losses, debts, stress, it was a storm that threatened to drown them. My grandson Noah was just 3 years old. I didn't hesitate. "Come stay here," I said, "until you're back on your feet." I believed that's what family was for, that's what I had taught my children. At first things were as I imagined. Laughter bounced off walls once more. Noah's tiny feet pitter-pattered through the hallways. Toys littered the living room floor, and every morning Noah would run to me shouting, "Grandma Emily," with a joy that made my chest ache with happiness. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, things began to change. Laura began making decisions about my house, my home, without asking me. First the curtains, then the furniture, then entire rooms were rearranged. "This house needs updating," she would say. "You're so old-fashioned, Emily," she would laugh. Old-fashioned, eh? I swallowed my unease. I reminded myself they are family. They mean no harm. I thought kindness and patience would be enough. The day the child spoke. That afternoon, Noah sat beside me, swinging his legs absent-mindedly. "Grandmother," he said again, his voice quieter this time, "Mommy said when you're gone, this will be our house." I smiled softly. "Well, sweetie, maybe one day." He frowned. "No," she said sooner. My heart stopped. "Said what exactly?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. He leaned closer. "She said if you sign papers or if something happens, she and Daddy get the house, and she said you won't need it anymore." Children don't lie like adults. Children don't twist words. They repeat exactly what they hear. And in that moment, something deep inside me cracked. Something older than fear, something raw and painful. It was betrayal. Sleepless nights. That night I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, reliving every interaction, every conversation where Laura insisted she was helping. "How about I organize your files? You should really put the house in Daniel's name for tax reasons. It'll be easier if we manage things for you." I had laughed, I had trusted. And now I realized, love when mixed with entitlement becomes a dangerous thing. The confrontation. The following evening, after Noah was asleep, I sat at the dining table with Daniel and Laura. I need to ask you something, I said calmly. Laura's smile was too quick. Of course. I looked directly at her. Are you planning to take my house? The room froze, Daniel's eyes widened. Mom, what? Laura's smile vanished. Who told you that? Noah, I said quietly. She scoffed. He's a child, he misunderstands. I leaned forward, voice steady but firm. Children repeat what they hear, so I'll ask again. Are you planning to take my house? Silence. Then Laura crossed her arms. We're family, eventually it should be ours anyway, you're not getting younger. Daniel looked torn, stuck between the woman he married and the man who raised him. And in that moment I understood something painful. Blood does not always guarantee loyalty. Choosing myself. The following week I visited a lawyer. I secured my property, updated my will, protected my rights. Then I did something even harder. I asked them to move out. Daniel was heartbroken, Laura was furious. Words were exchanged that still echo in my chest. You're selfish, she said. You care more about a house than your family. I looked at her and replied softly. No, I care about respect. The quiet after the storm. The house is quiet again now, sometimes too quiet, but it is peaceful. Noah still visits. He still climbs onto the couch beside me. He still whispers secrets. And every time he hugs me, I am reminded that innocence often tries to protect us when adults will not. The moral of my story. Never confuse kindness with weakness. Never hand over your life's work to someone who sees it as a prize. Listen carefully when a child speaks, because sometimes the smallest voices carry the heaviest truths. At 65, I learned a lesson I wish I had learned sooner. You don't owe anyone your sacrifice, especially when it costs you your dignity. And that house, it still stands. Just like I do.